Imagine you're cruising across the sparkling blue sea, relaxing under the sun, surrounded by luxury. For many, a cruise is the holiday of a lifetime. But for others, it's a nightmare they'll never forget. Tonight, on Under Investigation, we dive deep into the hidden dangers lurking on cruise ships, from the heart-pounding thrill of a holiday at sea to the shocking and unsettling truths that many passengers are unaware of tonight. We expose it all. Up to 1 million Australians take to the high seas each year, unaware that once they step aboard, they're leaving the protection of Australian law behind. With shocking stories of assaults, mysterious disappearances, and the shadowy world of cruise ship crime, we'll reveal the dark side of cruising. Stay with us. This is an investigation you won't want to miss.
Good evening. I'm Liz Hayes, and welcome to Under Investigation. We all know cruising is huge, with more than 25 million people boarding ships every year. It's the epitome of luxury and freedom, a place where families make memories and couples seek adventure. But what happens when the dream vacation turns into a nightmare? Tonight, we're joined by a panel of experts who will shed light on the dangers of cruising. From assault rates higher than on land, to shady practices that leave passengers vulnerable, we'll break it all down. We'll also explore what happens when disaster strikes on a cruise ship, and why Australian laws fail to protect passengers once they're out at sea. Cruise ships, often compared to floating cities, are anything but carefree. In fact, reports of crime on board have been rising for years. But did you know that the rate of sexual assaults on cruise ships is more than 50% higher than on land? From fights in the bars to people going overboard and worse. It's clear that not everything is as smooth sailing as the brochures promise. Mark Brimble, who heads the Australian Cruise Ship Victims Organisation, joins us to talk about the shocking story behind the death of his former wife, Diane Brimble. On a cruise ship, a case that rocked Australia and revealed major gaps in the industry's safety measures. Mark, what happened that night on the ship?
It was devastating. Diane went on that cruise thinking it would be a dream vacation, but instead, it ended in tragedy. The cruise line didn't investigate properly. They failed to secure the crime scene, and the police were more concerned with covering up than finding out the truth.
Geez, this wasn't just an isolated case. Passengers aren't aware that when they board these ships, they're entering a legal grey area. With ships registered in countries that have lax laws, like Panama or the Bahamas, many crimes go unreported and victims have no one to turn to for help. Fast forward to today, and we find ourselves cruising again in a post-COVID world. The industry has implemented new protocols, mandatory vaccines, testing, masks in certain areas. But is it enough? Despite these measures, many passengers still end up contracting COVID on board. One passenger, Sharon Jewell, spoke out about her experience, where lax enforcement of health rules led to widespread illness on her cruise.
We paid for this holiday, but it turned into a nightmare. We were supposed to be relaxing, but instead, I was in bed for a week with COVID. The ship's rules seemed like an afterthought. The staff didn't take it seriously, and people were openly ignoring the mask mandates.
Cruise lines are working with health authorities, but many argue that self-regulation simply doesn't work. So what can be done to improve safety? Our experts say it's time for the government to step in, but as we've seen, the industry often prioritizes profit over passenger well-being. As we've seen tonight, cruising is far from the carefree experience many believe it to be. From lack of security and rising crime rates to the ongoing environmental harm caused by the industry, it's clear that passengers need to be more informed about the risks they face on board. But perhaps the biggest issue is the lack of oversight. Under Investigation believes it's time for the Australian government to step up, and for the cruise industry to be held accountable. Media independent policing, better safety measures, and transparency in reporting crimes. For now, the choice is yours. Are you willing to board a ship and risk it all? Make sure you know the facts before you step onto the gangplank. Thank you for joining us tonight. Stay safe, and good night.